Hello everyone. Let us see quick matte painting tutorial in Photoshop. So let us start. So here I have selected an A3 size landscape document. This is an A3 size landscape document. So we are going to create matte painting in this document, and the document is a transparent document. It has no background, right? It has a transparent background, right? So first thing what we'll do is we will create a scene. So the matte painting that we are going to do is, it is a Shiva statue. Shiva is a Hindu god. So we'll be creating an island in which Shiva will be meditating. Right. So first we have just imported a sea image, and now I will import the next image. So we'll now just import this image into Photoshop, and from this image we'll be selecting this particular mountain, and later we'll be also selecting the sky as well as the mountains at the back side. Right. So we'll first just select this. We can just select it till here. That's it, and now we will just simply drag. We'll just place it over here. Right. This looks better. So this mountain is close to the camera, so it should appear big. Right. And we will also give some name to our file. So we'll just say Shiva statue matte painting. Right. So next what we'll do is we'll just apply mask to this. We'll just increase the flow value. Here we will just erase some portion. Make sure that black is in the foreground. So just we need to erase this particular part. And also we will just take a hard round brush and try to just make the edges a little bit hard, not too hard, a little bit. We can again select the soft round, and then just we can adjust it. Right. So the next step is we will now bring the Shiva statue. So here is the Shiva statue. So we'll be selecting it. So we can just use the quick selection tool, or we can also try object selection. So make sure that for object selection we have selected the lasso option. We will just create a selection around the Shiva statue. Right. So it has selected, and we can just fine tune the selection if we want. We can just zoom into the image, and then we can just fine tune the selection, and we can also use the quick selection tool or lasso tool to add or subtract some of the unwanted areas or some of the important areas. Right. So we can carefully select. Just we have to be patient here. Right. So once we have selected this much area, so now we will just drag this much area into this particular document. Right. And what we'll do is, see here Shiva is not sitting on the sea. We should make him sit on an island. So now we'll get the island. Right. So let's get the island. So this is the island image. But what we want is, we want only the island. We don't want this white color background. So for that we need to select the background. Select the island. But to select the island, it's a little bit difficult because here the trees are really complicated things. To select the trees, it's a little bit difficult task because the trees have a very thin edges. So we need to find a different way to select this entire island. So the best way is, we can't use the selection tools. So we can try some other tools actually. So let's go to the channels. So here we have the channels panel, and I will be selecting the blue channel, but let's not mess with the original blue channel. We have to take its duplicate. So to take the duplicate of this blue channel, simply drag this blue channel on top of this create new channel icon at the bottom of the layers panel, channels panel. Right. So then what we'll do is, we will add some contrast to this. We will activate the levels adjustment. So simply we can use Ctrl L in PC or Command L in Mac. Right. So we have to just darken the areas and also brighten the background, and we can just move these sliders. The left one is for shadows, the right one is for highlights, and the center one is for midtones. Right. Then what we'll do is, we will just control and click on this channel thumbnail, and we'll just come back to the layers. We can hit Ctrl L, we can control and click on the channel thumbnail, or we can choose Command and click on the channel thumbnail in Mac. Right, come back to the layers, and we can just click on this mask icon at the bottom of the layers panel, and we will inverse the mask. Simply hit Ctrl I in PC or Command I in Mac. Right. So then what we'll do is, we will just enter inside the mask, or we will just go inside the mask editing mode. So simply hold Alt and click on this mask thumbnail, or Option and click on this mask thumbnail if we are using Mac. Right. So now we have entered inside the mask editing mode. See, what we want is, we only want the island, and we have to erase the unwanted parts. So what we'll do is, we'll just select the brush tool, and we will simply erase this bottom part So we have to keep black as the foreground color, and we can also choose overlay here, and simply we will erase this bottom part. Right, and inside this island we have to paint with white color. So we can just keep normal for the time being. So here we should not lose the details. So again we will just come back to the overlay. So what this overlay blend mode will do is it will erase all the gray colors. It will not have any effect on the black and white colors. It will have effect only on the gray colors. Right. So we are doing this because we want to get back the details in case we lost some details. So always the subject color or this island color has to be white and the background color has to be black. Right. So now we can just hit Alt and click on the mask thumbnail, or we can use Option and click on the mask thumbnail if we are using Mac. Right. So now we have properly selected our island, but still there is some issue here. So if we just create a background, and if we observe closely, we might get a blue color fringes over these trees. We have to erase those fringes. To erase those fringes, we'll just take a new layer above this island layer, and what we'll do is we'll just make this empty layer into a clipping mask. So we'll clip this empty layer to this island layer. So simply we will hold Alt or Option in Mac and then click in between these two layers. We can see a down pointing arrow, and now we'll click. Right. So now what we'll do is we will just select a color, that is green color, and we can pick the green color from this trees, from these trees. And now we will just use the darken blend mode, and then we can just we'll try slightly reduce the opacity, and then we can simply just paint green. So wherever we see that blue, we have to just paint green and get rid of that blue. So here also we have some blue, so we can get rid of that blue. Right. These trees are anyways going to be a little bit far away, a little bit in distance, so we don't have to be too perfect, too accurate. Right. So now we will just delete this background layer, and now what we can do is we can just take a merged copy of both these layers. So we will simply use Ctrl Alt Shift E in PC or Command Option Shift E in Mac. Right. So now we will simply drag this entire island over here. Right. So let us scale it, and let's keep it behind the Shiva. Right. So we can slightly make it small. Right. So we can just we only need the trees You don't need anything else. Alright. Now we also have to create a ground here. So there is no ground. So the island needs to have some ground. So for that we'll get the ground. So we'll just select this sand. So here we have the sand. So we'll just select this sand. So we can use the quick selection tool and just we'll select the sand. Right, and then we'll simply drag and we'll keep it here. Right. And now we will just scale it, keep it behind this island. And what we'll do is we will apply a mask to this, and we will also give proper naming to these layers. So first we will give name to this layer as sand, and this one is island, and this one is Shiva, and this one is front mountain, and this one is sea. Right. So now we will just apply mask to this sand layer, and then we will just use the brush. We'll just turn the overlay into normal, and we can increase the size of the brush. We can simply use the right square bracket, and now we will just erase. Right. So now, so we have just created an island, and the statue is on the island. Right. So the next thing we are supposed to do is, so we will now get the mountains that are behind here. So we have some mountains behind. So what we'll do, we will also select the sky. We'll select the sky as well as the mountains. So we'll use the quick selection tool, and just we will select this much portion. We can just erase some of the unwanted pieces here. Right. So this much is okay. So now we will just simply drag this portion, and then we'll keep it here. So we want this sky to be behind Shiva. So we'll just drag this layer, and we also have to drag it below the sea layer. Right. So let's adjust it properly. Right, this looks better. Right. So the next thing is, so what we'll do is, so here we have to just erase the sand a little bit. So we'll just select the sand layer and make sure you select the thumbnail. Right. So now the next step is, so we have to get a ship. So we'll be putting a ship in this place. So we'll simply get the ship. So here is the ship. So we'll select the ship. So to select the ship, so what we are supposed to do is, first see here again we can see the strings here, or the thread or rope. So these ropes, if we want to select these ropes, it's very difficult with the traditional selection tools. So we have to find another way. So just like before, we will use the channels method to select this particular ship. So again, just open the channels panel and we'll select the blue channel here, and we will take a duplicate of this blue channel. Right. So we have taken a duplicate of this blue channel. Simply drag the channel layer on top of this create new channel icon at the bottom of this channels panel. So now what we'll do is we'll just apply contrast to it. So simply activate the levels dialog. So we have to make it a little bit dark. So something like this. And the background has to be white. Right. So then what we'll do is we will just hold Control in PC or Command in Mac and just click on this channel thumbnail, and we'll come back to the layers. Just at the bottom of the layers panel, we'll just click on this mask icon and we'll inverse the mask. Simply we will hit Control I in PC or Command I in Mac. Right. So now we'll just get inside the mask editing mode. Simply hold Alt or Option in Mac and then just click on this mask thumbnail. See, here we have some gray colors. It means we lost some details of the ship. So some details of the ship are lost. So we have to fix, we have to bring them back. So what we can do is we'll just select the brush and make sure you select the overlay blend mode for the brush, and we'll just keep white as the foreground color, and we'll paint pure white color over the ship. The background has to be pure black and the ship has to be pure white. Right. So again we will come out of the mask editing mode. Simply hold Alt or Option and click on this mask thumbnail. Right. So now we have properly selected the chip, but there is a small issue here. Let's see if we got any fringes. So if we observe closely, we might get some fringes here. So you can see the edges of the ship are not so interesting. So there are some extra white color or thin white color lines on the edges. So these are fringes. So we have to get rid of them. So we can use the previous method, or we will do one more thing here. So what we'll do is we will just confirm the mask. To confirm the mask, simply right click on this mask thumbnail, and here we'll just select this apply layer mask. Right. And we can do one thing. We can just hold Control or Command in Mac and click on this mask, click on this layer thumbnail, and we can slightly contract the selection. So we can just go to the select menu and we will go to modify, and here we have the option contract. So we will just contract the selection by 1, and we can inverse the selection. Control Shift I in PC or Command Shift I in Mac, and we can delete. So in this way we have deleted the fringes. So we can just increase the contract value if we have not yet removed the fringes. Right. So now it looks better. Right. Right. Now we will simply drag this shape and place it over here, and we'll just place it above all other layers, and we will give the name for this um, ship layer. Right. So we can place it over here. See, we have to adjust the ship in such a way that it looks bigger than the statue because it is close to the camera. So we have to adjust the ship in perspective. And also we can do one more thing, that is we can just select the Shiva island as well as the sand and make it a little bit small because they are a little bit far away. Right. And we will also select the ship and just make it a little bit small, and we'll keep it on the right side. And we will make the Shiva statue a little bit small along with the island and sand. Right. This looks better. It's always important to adjust everything according to the perspective. See, the ship is smaller than the mountain, so we can slightly reduce the size of the ship. Right. And also mountain, in case we want to make the mountain big, we can also make the mountain big. So now we have adjusted everything according to the perspective. Right. This looks better. So now the next thing is, we will now put a sun. So we'll put a sun over here. So to put a sun over here, so what we'll do is we will select this sky layer. We will just rename the layer as sky. And if you want to put the sun, so one thing what we can do is we can just take a new layer above the sky layer, and we can just use the brush. Make sure that the blending mode is normal, don't keep overlay, and we will change the layer blending mode for this empty layer, or we are going to place a sun in this particular layer, and we will change the blending mode to linear dodge. So we'll use the linear dodge blending mode, and then what we'll do is we will just select a pure white color, and then we can just click here. So we can see, and we can also just slightly increase the size of this brush, and see, now we have just created an artificial sun. And we can also do one more thing. We can take one more layer, and this time again we will select linear dodge here, and we can do one more thing, that is we can select a hard round brush, and if we want to see the just edge of the sun, we can also see, we can do like this. So this is optional, but what we'll do is we'll reduce the flow, and then we will just click here. Okay, now this looks better. Right. So this is how we can do matte painting, and we have still something else to do here. So what we'll do is we'll select the topmost layer, and we'll create some a fog effect. So how we can create a fog effect? We'll just select a gradient adjustment layer, and see here, we can see automatically there is some foggy look at the bottom, but we will reduce the fog amount. So what we'll do is we'll just reduce the opacity here. So we don't want the fog to be too much, so we'll reduce the opacity here slightly, and also we can just spread the fog. Actually, if you want to spread the fog, we can spread the fog. Right. So now it looks better. Right. And in case we want to erase the fog effect over this Shiva statue, what we can do is we can simply just select this mask thumbnail for this gradient fill layer, and we can just erase. So we can just erase the effect, but we'll select the soft round brush, and here the flow value is just 25. So we can just erase it like this. So because we want to see the Shiva statue properly. Right. So now this looks better. Right. So now we are just about to complete the matte painting. So what we'll do is we will just to make it more interesting, we will apply a hue and saturation adjustment layer, and what we'll do is we will colorize. Okay, we will just click on this colorize. So see, it will turn everything into some kind of artificial color, but we want a natural color actually. So we can just give some natural color to this, but at the same time what we'll do is we want the effect to be mild. It should not be too intense. So here the effect is too intense. So what we'll do is, see, we will select this hue and saturation thumbnail, and we'll make sure that we will keep black as the foreground color, and we will just remove the effect. So we can see here it's only mild, it's not too intense. So just we can see here it's very mild. Right. So now what we'll do is we will take a merged copy of all these layers. So simply we will use Ctrl Alt Shift E in PC or Command Option Shift E in Mac. Right. So the next thing we'll do is we'll just take a duplicate of this because we want to add some contrast. So just we'll take a duplicate, Ctrl J in PC or Command J in Mac, and then we will use the overlay blend mode. See, now we got some contrast, but we don't want the contrast to be too much, so we can slightly reduce the opacity. Right. So this looks better. Right. And just one last thing we'll do is, so we will add a curves adjustment layer, and we will slightly reduce the opacity. So we can see here. Right. Now this looks better. Right. This is the matte painting tutorial. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Please do like, subscribe, share, and if you have anything to say, do comment. See you again.